Baltimore Ravens fans, no, you are not dreaming. John Harbaugh, no longer the head coach of this football team. And what that means is it's going to be a very, very exciting offseason, exciting next couple of weeks as they try to nail down their first head coach hire in the last 18 years. Make sure you are subscribed because we'll have that head coaching search covered like nobody else. Any news, any rumors, we'll have it right here on the Ravens Rundown. Hit that big red sub button. Adam Schefter was the one that broke the news yesterday, was sitting at my desk, kind of preparing to film one more video, then go ahead, get on home, and then my day just got absolutely changed, but for the better. We had a lot of fun on live. We broke down the firing of John Harbaugh, and now it's time to talk about what is next. Now, I do believe that whoever the new head coach is, they will be able to hire their own coordinators, right? A lot of people are worried the fact that Zach Orr and Todd Monken, will they still be here? They still have jobs. If I'm running this head coaching search, I think it is always correct. It's always a good idea to start off on the right foot and let your head coach, your new guy running this franchise, make his own coordinator hires. So I would not worry about Zach Orr being back or not. I don't think Todd Monken will be back or not. You might be excited about that. You might not. Regardless, expect new coordinators with this new head coach. Let's start talking replacements. If you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know my number one John Harbaugh replacement is Brian Flores. What was the biggest frustration about this team? In my opinion, it was the defense, the lack of physicality, the lack of mental toughness. And I think with Brian Flores, he would bring that back instantaneously. All right? Like you would have that back in an instant. But Joey, he was a failure in Miami. That's what I keep on hearing. I hear it on social media. I hear it in the comment section. I heard it in the chat of our game of our live stream last night. But ladies and gentlemen, what do we quantify as failure? Because he coached Miami's first back-to-back winning seasons since 2003. When he was there in 2020, 2021, when he went 10-6 and 9-8. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this about that roster. I beg you to go look up the 2020 Miami Dolphins roster and the 2021 Miami Dolphins roster. They sucked. And he also had a horrible situation with Miami and their owner, Stephen Ross. Remember, he sued them. This is from the lawsuit. Flores alleges that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross attempted to incentivize him to tank or purposely lose games shortly after he was hired in 2019, with Ross allegedly offering Flores $100,000 for every loss that season. Flores says that the team won games late in the season. Dolphins general manager Chris Greer told him that Ross was mad that the on-field success was compromising the team's draft position. So, he might have gotten fired. But he wasn't fired because he was a poor head coach. He was fired because he wasn't listening to an owner that was trying to pay him $100,000 for every single loss. That sounds like a guy I want coaching my team. I also just love the way he runs his defenses. I love the aggression that he coaches with. Number one in blitz rate, top 3 in heavy box rate. I love his schemes. I love the fact that they have 7 guys on the line of scrimmage and they drop 3 to 4 back in coverage. Okay? I love the fact that they disguise everything they do. Gage, you can push that. I love the fact that you don't know who's coming. You don't know who isn't. He did it in Minnesota. He did it in Miami. And he's had success at pretty much every single defensive level when he does it. There's a reason he's my number one candidate, because I think he'd bring the play like a Raven mentality back to Baltimore. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like that's missing right now. Who's your number one Ravens head coach candidate? Let me know down below in the comment section. Drop a name for me. I got about 6 more names we got to discuss. Is that good math? No, 7 more names we got to discuss. There's a reason I talk sports for a living. Number 2, Robert Saleh. A lot of people might not be too fond of this name. Okay? A lot of people probably have a bad taste in their mouth from Robert Saleh's time with the New York Jets. Well, I think Robert Saleh got dealt a pretty poor hand. I don't know if there is a worse run organization in sports than the New York Jets are. I don't know if there's a worse run organization in the National Football League than the New York Jets are. Maybe the Cleveland Browns, right? But if we're comparing somebody to the Browns, then you know they are already probably not that great of a program, not great of a franchise. He got sold the bill of goods of Aaron Rodgers, a 40-year-old quarterback. And then Aaron Rodgers came in here, brought in all his buddies. He was like the de facto general manager. Then he gets hurt for a whole season. And then the next season, they're just not very good. And Robert Saleh got canned. Then he goes into San Francisco, and without Fred Warner for the last 12 games, without Nick Bosa for the last 12 games, he leads that defense that is just put together by scraps to a playoff spot. To the number 6 seed. A spot where you can't say you are on your side of the bracket. So, I think Robert Saleh deserves a second chance. Jesse Minter, number 3. This is a name that I feel like you're going to hear a lot in this coaching search, right? You're going to hear Jesse Minter over and over and over to me. In fact, this one to me really seems like the betting favorite. Like if I had to put my money where my mouth is and choose one guy I believe is going to be the next head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, I think I would go with Minter. For multiple reasons. We know that this team typically likes to keep things in-house. Now, it's hard for me to say that because, they've only had one head coach for the last 18 seasons. But Minter was here a few years ago before leaving, becoming a national champion with Michigan. Then he just coached for Jim Harbaugh at Los Angeles. Like, he knows what it's like. Franchise, the ownership, the general manager, the players. And I think he's a really young, up-and-coming, hot defensive mind. Gage, if you could throw that tweet up there one more time, if you don't mind, appreciate it. Daniel Jeremiah of CBS Sports, I believe it's CBS Sports, it's some affiliation, says Jesse Minter of the Raven makes a lot of sense. Familiar, fixes defense, is a great leader. Could not agree more. I think that's a guy you definitely got to keep your eye on. If they hired Jesse Minter, how would you feel? Okay? Fill in the blank for me. I would feel blank if the Ravens hired Jesse Minter. Let me know down below in the comments section. I think I would feel pretty excited, truly. Number 4 is Anthony Weaver. We already know, a report came out earlier this morning that Jesse Weaver already has interviews lined up for this weekend. The Falcons head coaching vacancy is one of those. I can't remember the other one, but he's got 2 interviews already lined up. Obviously, he's a guy who spent his time in Baltimore as well. He's been the defense coordinator for the Miami Dolphins this year. I believe for the last 2 seasons, actually. Yeah, it has been the last 2 seasons. It was when Macdonald left. And their defensive units have not been that great, I'll be honest with you, but also their personnel is really nothing to write home about. I think Weaver is a guy that a lot of people see as just one of those dudes that can make every single person on that team run through a brick wall for him. He's as much of a leader as leaders can be, and I think at this point, this team needs that. He's not my number 1 choice, not my number 2 or 3 choice. But I think he's a guy you got to keep an eye on. Something you also got to keep an eye on is our friends over there at PrizePicks. They're the sponsors of today's show. And whether you are starting a new routine or whether you are making picks for the very first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend, elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops. And PrizePicks lets you take control. With the new social feeds feature, you can share PrizePicks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow PrizePicks partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. Here's my PrizePicks lineup for this week's games in the college football playoff. We got Friday night, Indiana, Oregon. I'm going to take the less on Fernando Mendoza rushing yards and the more on Dante Moore passing yards. And then on Thursday night, we got Miami, Ole Miss. I'm going to take the more on Carson Beck passing yards. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Number 5, Klint Kubiak, offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, a team that has locked down the number 1 seed in the NFC. Obviously, it helps when you are an assistant coach or a coordinator for as great of a head coach as Mike Macdonald is. We don't need to be told how awesome Mike Macdonald is. But pretty much every single place that Klint Kubiak has gone, you've seen them have success. Now, unfortunately, he's also been a one and done for the past few years. 2021 OC for the Minnesota Vikings. 2022 passing game coordinator for the Denver Broncos. These last three stretches is what I'm really impressed by. Passing game coordinator for San Francisco, offensive coordinator for New Orleans. Guys, let's call a spade a spade. The fact that they were able to score any points last season in 2024 is as impressive as it gets. That team was horrible. That roster offensively was horrible. And before Derek Carr got hurt, people forget their offense was actually kind of humming. They scored 40 points, I believe, in the first 2 weeks. And then this year, Seattle Seahawks. He's been phenomenal. Jackson Smith and Jigba looks like the best wide receiver in the NFL. Okay? Sam Darnold looks like the best quarterback in the NFL. So I would not be mad whatsoever if Klint Kubiak is the guy. He's coached for a lot of head coaches, which I think is a benefit. Like he's seen how things are run poorly. He's seen how things are run not so poorly, right? He also has the bloodline in him as well. Let's talk about some names worth mentioning, okay? I got 3 of them. Number 1, Matt Burke. Current defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. Coaches for DeMeco Ryans down there in H-Town. He is a guy that I've been hearing some buzz about. Gage, if you could throw up that tweet, if you don't mind. Thank you. I saw this on social media last night. One potential Ravens coach candidate I'm hearing about is Matt Burke in Houston, 49 years old, defensive mind like Flores and Saleh and Macdonald. A little under the radar, which was Harbaugh's appeal to the Ravens back in 2008. He is the first name I've heard. That comes from Drew Forrester. So keep Matt Burke in mind. I didn't really talk much about him going into this hiring process, like when we were talking about the possibility of John Harbaugh being fired. But now that he's mentioned, they've got good personnel on defense, but they're also really, really impressive. They're running a 9-game win streak right now, and it's all because of how great that defense is playing. Cliff Kingsbury is a name we've been hearing, and I'm a little bit confused as to why we're hearing it. Diana Rossini tweeted this out yesterday, right after Harbaugh got fired. It's about 30 minutes later. Amid a recent league-wide buzz about Cliff Kingsbury's future, many believe Baltimore paired with Lamar Jackson would be an ideal landing spot for the now former Commanders offensive coordinator. That will be worth a name to watch. Now, I don't know if that tweet is insinuating that Cliff Kingsbury could be the next head coach of the Baltimore Ravens or the next offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. I would not mind one bit if he was the next offensive coordinator. I think that would be a ton of fun. Lamar, Cliff, Derek, Zay. I think that would be phenomenal. But if he is this team's next head coach, I would be livid. What does this team need? It needs toughness. It needs physicality. It needs guys who do not quit. We just watched a bunch of losers, a bunch of quitters for 17 games. And what, historically, has Cliff Kingsbury been? Kind of a loser. Like Texas Tech, he never even competed for a Big 12 championship. Then he got the job in Arizona, didn't have any ounce of playoff success. Sure, he did great things with Jane Daniels last year in Washington, but he just got fired a week ago. Excuse me, yesterday. So, no thank you to Cliff Kingsbury being this team's next head coach. I could not hate a hire more. Kevin Stefanski's the last name. I'm going to get some pushback on this one. And he's not a top candidate at all. I'm just kind of saying, Kevin Stefanski is the Ravens' next head coach. I don't think I'd be devastated about it. I think that nobody is going to have success as a head coach in Cleveland, if I'm being 100% honest with you. When he's been there with Baker Mayfield, Joe Flacco, when those two guys are his quarterback, he's got a winning record. Any other just absolute atrocity they throw out there, like he has a losing record, but who wouldn't? So I don't know if they're interested. I just think that's a name worth keeping watch on, and a name that I think a lot of people will be upset about. I would not be one of them. Who's the head coach hire you'd hate? Let me know down below. What's your nightmare scenario? Light up the comment section. Let me know your answer. And while you're down there, make sure you guys got me followed on social media. You'll see my Twitter and Instagram links. Click those. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel.